Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Freelance Friday podcast, or welcome if you're new. If you are new here, my name's Latasha, and I make a full time income by posting here on the internet, one way or another. I do it through a combination of monetizing my videos and my podcasts with brand partnerships and ad deals, with digital products, and with services done for you, marketing services. I also have a content studio in Michigan. And we are going to get cozy today. I want to just have like a full chat about exactly how I do what I do and how so many creators do what they do and make money from posting online. So let's do a content creation Q&A. The first question is, what equipment do you need to start as a content creator? And this is a huge barrier for a lot of people, or a perceived barrier, is that they need all of this stuff, right? I'm filming with a fancy camera. I've got an iPad in front of me. I've got a microphone. I've got a roadcaster. I've got a light. I've got a whole studio here. Guess what? You don't need any of it. I'll show you my most popular YouTube video to date, or maybe my second most popular, I think is a good example of really quick, dirty, messy action. It is just me in my small downtown Detroit apartment at the time. And I think I was using a camera, but it was a relatively affordable camera. So, all that to say, honestly, if you've got an iPhone, especially if you got one of these new iPhones, like, you're golden. My one thing that I would say is pay attention to sound. So if you know that you want to make YouTube videos, which is really the area that I focus on, or really just any type of video content where you're going to be talking, make sure that you get a microphone. I have one that I have been raving about. I love it so much. It's by the brand Movo. I'm going to link it down below. I'll link a ton of things, I'm sure, for you down below. So be sure to check the show notes and description box. But it's like this tiny little microphone that you just plug in to one end of your phone, and it'll just really help your audio quality. Because I always say people will forgive bad quality video, they won't forgive bad quality sound. A lot of people listen to YouTube videos and even like TikToks and, Instagram Reels almost like a podcast nowadays. We're multitasking, and so we're not watching every second. We don't need it to be super cinematic, but we do need it to sound good. How important is editing in content creation? I think editing is a tool, and it really depends on what you're trying to create. So, there are kind of two different types of content that I create here on my YouTube channel. The first type is the more informative, kind of like SEO. That means search engine optimization. So, like, content that's going to perform well in search, content where people are going to be searching how to become a YouTuber, how to become a content creator, how to become a social media manager. And that's like this sit down, more informative, talking head style YouTube video, typically, right? And then I have the other kind that is what I call my community content. Those are the vlogs. Those are maybe any type of lives that I do or workshops that I do. Mostly for me, it's blogging. And I'll say for this type of more informative video, this is kind of a mix because it's like a community. I'm answering questions from the community, but I'm also, being informative. So it's a little bit of a mix. But typically for these talking head videos, I'm not doing a ton of editing, right? You do want to maintain your audience's attention. So people do have short attention spans nowadays. So if you can separate the video with titles or add B-roll or add a little bit of something to, especially if it's a longer video like a podcast, great. But you probably don't need to be doing like fancy transitions or like, filming a bunch of like super cinematic B-roll. However, for vlogs, if you're doing something that's a little bit more artistic, a little bit more creative, I do, for me at least, as somebody who enjoys editing, I find it to be a way to communicate, right? A way to better communicate the message. The music might start to intensify if I'm in a stressful moment or an exciting moment. Meanwhile, the next morning I might be having a journal time with my coffee, and the music is going to get slower. The lighting is going to get a little bit different. We're going to do a slower transition, maybe a pan, maybe some camera movements, right? So it's a form of communication. All that to say, you can make a video without editing easily. A great example of this is actually my friend D Green. He has a YouTube channel and a community called Undeterred. He interviewed me for his group, and he pulled that full interview and popped it onto YouTube. And that YouTube video is one of the most viewed videos so far on his YouTube channel, without any editing. I don't think he did any editing. So for something like that, where it's an interview or a talking head, I don't think you need a ton of editing as long as the content's good, right? It is all about the content at the end of the day. By the way, since I'm speaking of friends, I want to introduce you to another one of my friends. Her name is Nina Zeta. And I had the pleasure of actually hanging out with her in person last summer. She is such a lovely human and she has taught me so much. She has a whole business all about influencer marketing and how to help creators like you and like myself get brand deals. This is something that I'm sure we'll probably get to in the questions perhaps, but brand deals are a great way of supporting my channel. That was bad English, but having brand deals, having sponsorships are one of the big ways that I support this channel and am able to keep podcasts going consistently and have been for since 2018. And she has taught me so much about finding brands that want to sponsor me, about strengthening my pitch offers, strengthening my media kit, maintaining those brand relationships, pulling analytics and proving, my ROI, my return on investment as a creator. And so I wanted to team up with her. Every once in a while, we have special sessions just for my audience, and we're going to do one very soon. So check the description box if you want to join our How to Get Brand Deals masterclass. It's totally free. And I'm telling you, she so over delivers on these sessions. I've had the privilege of attending, I think, 2 just for my community. And every single time I walk away being like, oh my gosh, like I am so inspired. I'm so motivated. I am ready to get pitched for more brand deals. And I usually do, and I usually get some. So be sure to join us. Link down below. Next question. Do you need to post on every platform or should you focus on one? Such a good question. I believe in having one primary platform, meaning that is like what people know you as, right? Do they know you as a YouTuber or a TikToker? Those are 2 kind of different things. There can be overlap, there can be repurposing. I'll talk about that in a second. But overall, like, I think it's important to go all in on one before trying to master everything. Now, that doesn't mean that you should not post on TikTok or Instagram at all if you're a YouTuber, but I think it means that you should always be thinking YouTube first, or most of the time thinking YouTube first until you build a solid audience around that. And then you can really start to diversify. That's personally what I do. I do use other platforms where it makes sense. I schedule my content through Metricool. And so it's cool because like I can just like click on the other platforms, right? Like if I'm scheduling an Instagram reel, I can also schedule it out to go on Facebook and TikTok at the same time as sort of an afterthought. And with YouTube, one of the big things that I teach in my trainings and my coaching for people who want to become YouTubers is repurpose, right? Make the most out of this content because this is gold, right? Like I've already been talking for 8 minutes. Like how many TikToks are in that 8 minutes? Like, get what you can get out of it. But I do think that you have to temper your expectations in that if you're using TikTok or you're using Instagram as sort of an afterthought, it's probably not going to have the same results as if it was the primary thought. So just keep that in mind. But for most people, that is what I recommend. How often should you post content to grow? As often as you can do so consistently. So for YouTube, I think a really good starting place or goal place, I guess, is weekly, once a week. If you can do more than once a week, amazing. 2 times a week, 3 times a week. If you're doing like a talk show or like a news or commentary style show, maybe it's 5 times a week. But once a week, I think is a pretty solid starting point to be able to see some results in a, not ridiculous amount of time, let's say. But at the same time, I've had clients and I've had, people, students in my network who can't do that. Like it's just not realistic. Maybe they're working a full-time job and they're running a business and they have a family and they're trying to do YouTube. Yeah, I get it. I get how that would be hard to commit to once a week. I think it's possible, but everybody has a different life and, easy for me to say, right? So I say commit to what you can commit to, right? Don't say I'm going to do weekly and then miss every other upload and only upload once a week. Say we're going to do once a month or once every other week and then under promise, over deliver if you have extra time or if you're able to make it work. That is what I I recommend. What's the role of SEO and keywords in content creation? I kind of touched on that a little bit. Like for YouTube, I like to think of community content and SEO content, and there needs to be a balance because here's the thing. If you post all SEO content and you're like, how to become a social media manager, how to make a marketing strategy, how to become a content creator, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like literally like, Google search results. That can be a great way to grow a channel initially. But what I have found, and I've kind of done this, like I had a period of time where that's sort of almost all that I was creating. I found that people viewed our kind of relationship, for lack of better words, as very transactional. And they were sort of here for the advice, and then they were gone the second that they achieved their goal, right? Okay, I tuned into this channel to become a social media manager, or to get my first client, or to go full time in my content creation business. And now I've watched enough of Latasha's videos. I've achieved that. And now I'm not going to watch her anymore. I have no reason to, right? Like I can't blame them. Why would they want to? They got what they needed. The community content is what can kind of help, number one, deepen that bond between you and your audience. So they will start to like you as a person if you are likable, I guess, or if you guys, are meant to be, for lack of better words. And it'll also give them something else. So yeah, I have so many people who have watched the majority of my videos, who've taken all my courses, who have been my clients, who have kind of like reached the top of what I have to offer for them, for lack of better words, in a SEO transactional type of, situation. But over the years, we've developed this kind of, relationship, again, for lack of better words, and they might find some other aspect of my life that they're interested in, or they might just be interested in following the journey. They might now be learning through the journey, learning through my business growth and struggles and pitfalls and celebrations. And that's kind of how they are able to continue a relationship and continue watching. So I do think it is important to have a balance. How do you deal with creative blocks? Ooh, man, this is a good question.
You guys, I hate to admit it, but Instagram actually works if you work it. I want to share what I've been doing lately to increase my conversions and my leads coming directly from Instagram. And it's been these Instagram automations. I'm sure you've seen them where you can comment a word or an emoji and get sent a link in your DMs. So I have tried that before, but it has never been easier than with this tool that I've recently been using called GoHighLevel. So in GoHighLevel, you can set up automations to automatically DM people based on trigger words and so many more things. As you can see here, I just used a test account to comment Q4, and I'm now in the full CRM side of the tool. So I can go in and I can start adding information about that person. I can start adding opportunities, like if this was a podcast that I didn't actually host and I was trying to get on, well, now I can track my interactions with them. I can give a value amount to being a guest on that show. I can even do things like add them to my communities just within the back end of this tool, which is amazing. Like I don't have to go into a million different tools and add them to courses or add them to communities. And I actually love that GoHighLevel has their own community feature. It's very similar to, a paid membership group, which can be up to $100 a month to manage, but it's a part of the GoHighLevel full package. So that's actually where I'm hosting my social media management accelerator community from here on out. And you can kind of get a look at what it looks like here. But yeah, this is an amazing, amazing tool. You can see listed out here all of the different tools that it can replace and the different functionalities that it has. And I'm really not even scratching the surface. So over the next few months, I'm going to be telling you a little bit more about what it can do. And if you want to give it a try, you can get a free 14-day trial. I'll leave my link down in the description and the show notes. Huge thanks to GoHighLevel for working with me and partnering with the Freelance Friday podcast.
I think this is like a bit of a hot take because this is another question is like, how do you come up with ideas? Honestly, I think if you do not have an overwhelming amount of ideas when you start to think about your keyword or your main topic that you want your YouTube channel to be about, I think you might be in the wrong niche, or you might need to think a little bit more before you press record. And I don't say that very often because I think usually the answer is just start recording. Like, don't overthink things, just do it, to borrow Nike's slogan. But If you do not have an overabundance of ideas and you're not truly excited about the topic and you're like, I have to research, I have to like look at other people to come up with ideas, you know, I think that might be a challenge for you. There are so many tools nowadays. Obviously, there's like AI tools, and I always recommend Reddit and just like Googling and scouring the internet to see what people are talking about in your niche. Those are all great ways of doing research and coming up with ideas, right? But at the end of the day, if I'm locked in a room and somebody's like, Latasha, can you talk about marketing or video or content creation? I am going to come up with some ideas. And that's just because those are the things that I truly love doing. There are other things that I have an interest in, and I've even thought about like creating second channels or talking about. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I only really have 5 recipes that I cook on a regular basis. Even though I love vegan food and I love cooking and I love, food in general, I really I can't, it's like I don't know that I have a full content calendar for that. I gotta go out and live a little bit more and maybe experiment and buy cookbooks and things like that before I make a whole YouTube channel about that if I ever were to. That's honestly my recommendation is like choose a topic that you can talk about all day long. What do your friends know you for? What are you the go-to person for? What are you just really excited about? And yeah, like I don't want to sound like a jerk here. Like there is a bit of research involved. Sometimes one way that I handle creative blocks is books. I'll be like, I don't know. I'm kind of in a funk because I do get in them. Pull a book off my bookshelf. I have so many marketing, entrepreneurship, business books. And I'm like, ooh, this is about time blocking. This is about leadership. This is about social media. And now I've got all these different ideas. So make it something that you are not afraid to research, that you love researching, you love talking about, you love learning about, you love consuming, and the ideas will absolutely come. Do you need to be comfortable on camera to succeed? Yes. No. Yes. You have to be on camera to succeed. I think for most people, I know I'm going to get people being like, no, actually, this person is a faceless creator. 9 times out of 10, people want to see faces. People connect with people. We connect specifically with faces. And whether we like it or not, whether we love our faces or not, this is just the truth. I know there are faceless YouTube channels out there, and there are some success stories with it, but I think those are pretty far and few between. So I think if you are not willing to get on camera, you're going to like really be making it even harder for yourself to find success. Not impossible, but it's going to be even harder than if you're willing to get on camera. Now, do you need to be comfortable on camera? I think like initially I say yes, right? Because obviously, I mean, you're going to have to do it consistently. But I kind of stopped myself because I'm going to be honest, like I I guess I'm comfortable-ish. I mean, I've been on YouTube for over a decade, but I'm not as comfortable on camera as I am like sitting on my couch or working at a coffee shop or filming somebody else being behind the camera. I would be lying if I said I was. Like I overthought everything today. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to put on a cuter outfit. And then I was like, you know what? No, like I'm just whatever. And like, like I get kind of, I even notice when people meet me, they're like, Latasha, you're so like funny and you're so like silly and goofy and you're kind of like a dork and you're kind of awkward. And I feel like on camera, I'm like, even though I'm wearing this like sweatshirt today, for those who are listening and can't see, I still like the second I turned the camera on, I kind of turned into like Professor Latasha. And so there is a little bit of nerves, I think, that I still have. And I am still what I would consider to be successful on YouTube and have built a successful business. So I say that just to say you don't need to be perfect. It shouldn't feel like talking to your best friend, or for most people it doesn't. It doesn't have to, at least. So if you do feel a little bit of that anxiety or nervousness, or like maybe you come across a little differently than you do in real life, that doesn't mean you can't be successful. I think sometimes people think being comfortable on camera means that you have to like feel like perfect and amazing and 1000% confident, and I don't. So there's that. How do you handle criticism or negative comments online? I recently talked about this in a video. Apparently the answer is sometimes I clap back at them. Usually I delete them, and I will say usually, or I just ignore them. It depends. My rule is if they are fully like inflammatory, like if they contain a slur, if there's any hate speech, if it's going to be something that's going to be upsetting to other people, I delete it. If it's just like this was a waste of time or you're ugly or just something stupid, I'll just ignore it. Like they're making a fool of themselves. Truly, like how sad. I've watched so many YouTube videos over the years and I can't think of one time I've left a hate comment, you know? Also, though, it is important, I think, to discern between hate comments and constructive criticism. That said, constructive criticism can sometimes still be snarky and a little unnecessary, but you can often learn from it. If somebody's like, hey, this video was you took like 10 minutes to get to the point, or blah, 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 blah. I might still be annoyed by it, but it actually might help me. And I might actually take that feedback, and be like, okay, next video, I'm going to speed it up a little bit, or I'm going to spend a little less time on the intro. And then sometimes I do clap back, like I said. If I feel like there genuinely is something, like there's a teachable moment there, or there's something that can help other people, I'm a human. You're allowed to respond to it however you want to. That is, within reason, obviously. Please don't respond in like a aggressive way. But how do you collaborate with other creators? Well, I think one way is to join communities, join groups, join courses. Like I said, join us on me and Nina's masterclass. That is always so fun just to get to know everybody in the chat during those sessions. We always share our social media handles so we can follow each other. And honestly, just like being in a room, either virtual or physical room with other creators is a great place to start. I also think one thing that you can do is, depending on your comfort level with this, I would say this is a good idea if you're in a big metropolitan area. Put your location in like your description box on YouTube, on your about page on YouTube, on your bio on Instagram. So if you're in New York or Detroit or LA, put that in there because a lot of PR companies and events companies will look for creators when they're sending out invites to events. So that can be a good way, use the hashtag on Instagram, things like that. Again, if you're in like a very, very small town, I recommend putting your safety first. But yeah, I think those are great places to start. Yeah, I think honestly, the biggest thing is just making friendships, developing friendships. I like to say the phrase, and I've got some merch that says it, friends, not fans, right? I truly believe in that. I think if you are forming genuine relationships with people, collaboration opportunities, client opportunities, all these different things will come in time. Somebody will recommend you, or somebody will, ask you if you want to hang out and, ask if they can bring their camera and vice versa. And it will happen really organically. I always really hesitate at collaborating with people who just slide in my DMs. They don't even follow me, or maybe they just started following me and are like, hey, like join me on this thing. And it just feels, again, very transactional. And I'm not I'm not interested in that, right? I am interested in forming relationships that are going to be mutually beneficial. Can content creation be a full-time career? Yes. I mean, it is for me, and it has been for I've been full time in my freelancing kind of entrepreneurship journey since 2019. So going strong still. And I teach what I call the creator trifecta. So, three different ways. That is through one, brand deals. We're going to talk about that with Nina Zeta. Be sure to join us for that class. Two is services. This is, any type of freelance service that you may offer, coaching, if you do fitness content, offer one-on-one sessions, video sessions, or, meal plans if you're into food, or like whatever, do some type of service. Social media management, right? That's a big thing. Video editing for other creators, just something that can kind of get you by, because when you're first starting out, there's going to be like a gap in time where you're creating a lot and you're investing a lot into your content and you're not yet seeing the financial results from it yet. That's just how it is. So I think having a service under your belt can help kind of smooth that transition. And then lastly, products, digital products like courses. That's what I sell, memberships, merch, books, things like that. So yes, it can absolutely be a full-time career. My recommendation is that you dip your toes into each of those three buckets. Every single year that I've been full-time in my business, my revenue pie has looked a little different. Some years it's been like, wow, I'm making so much in brand deals. Other years it's a course year. Other years it's a service year. So being able to kind of adapt to what's going on in the economy, just what's trending, what you're feeling. Some years I'm like, I don't really want to be on camera as much. Like, I'm going to take a little bit of a backseat on YouTube and do more services. I don't really want to be teaching live this year because of whatever reason. And so, yeah, I think that is how you build a sustainable full time business. What does a typical day look like for a content creator? Well, I make vlogs all the time. Again, if you're new to this YouTube channel or if you typically just tune into the podcast, tune into one of the Tuesday, Wednesday videos. I do vlogs where I share a week in my business all the time, and truly every day is different for me. Some people are a little bit more structured than me. I like the chaos. I thrive in chaos a little bit. I hate to admit it, but one of the things that I didn't like about working in the corporate world was that every day was the same. It was just I was bored. I was bored. And I love that some days I'm traveling. I just got back from Atlanta from an awards show for content creators. Like, what? What is my life? I was all fancy. I was presenting an award. And then, like, today, I've been in a sweatsuit all day on Zoom calls, talking to brand sponsors, being on mastermind calls with other creator friends of mine, and like planning out YouTube videos. Tomorrow, I'm probably going to do a lot of editing. So it'll probably be another like sweatpant type day, except I'll be even further in my sweatpants. I'll probably not have makeup on, not have hair done, right? Like other days, I'm meeting with clients because I have one on one clients. So, there is a big range is the answer. The thing that I like about working for yourself and being a creator is you can truly design your life. Like, what do you want it to look like? Do you have kids? And so you have to be home from a certain period of time, available after a certain hour. Well, then you can design your workday to be from 9 to 1 or whatever before the kids get home from school. Do you like wearing sweatpants every day? Do you like wearing suits every day? And you want to go into a physical office, a physical studio, then do it. Like you can truly decide what you want to do. And that's what I love. How do you avoid burnout when creating content regularly? I think something that really helps me is batching. So, like today, my goal is to get 2 videos filmed while I have light. Light is leaving me. Sad that it's getting dark earlier. But yeah, like I'm in the mood to film. I'm just in the mood. I'm ready. I've got hair and makeup done. I, got nothing else better to do. So I'm going to film a couple of videos at once instead of stressing out next week and being like, where's next week's video? I got to like get all the gear together. I got to do all the things. And just like leaning into that time when you are feeling really 100% and when you are feeling chatty or, creative. And I do the same thing for like ideas. If I'm like, wow, so many ideas for videos are coming out, I write them all down and I kind of like construct them. So then that phase is done. And then when I'm in filming mood, I can do that. And I try to really operate on like vibes, for lack of better words. I try not to force myself to do something that I'm just not feeling. I know that's like kind of a privilege. Again, I don't have children or anything like that. So my time constraints are a little bit, I'm a little bit more flexible with time. So obviously, if you still work a full-time job, if you have a family, that kind of thing, you probably do have to be a little bit more rigid. But I try to really operate based on, am I gonna come across the way I want to today, or am I really low energy and like probably today is not the day? How do creators make money? I've been talking about this already. I talk about the creator trifecta, right? Those 3 ways. Those are the major ways. I mean, there are other things which really are subcategories of those 3 things I mentioned, right? Brand relationships, services, and products. So, brand relationships can be sponsorships where a brand actually says, hey, Latasha, we would like to pay you $1. I'm just using that as an example to do a 30-second ad spot for our tool or product. And I do it and it's done. But other types of brand relationships can be affiliate partnerships where a brand can say, hey, we have a $100 a month product. We'll give you 20% of that sale if somebody uses your link or your code. So there are lots of like little subcategories. Again, services, we've talked about coaching, we've talked about like done for you marketing, actually filming video, editing video, so many different things. But yeah, I would say those are the most common ways. And everybody's pie is different. Like, truly, everybody's pie is different. But what I will say, and I recently did a video all about this, so I will try to find it and link it for you. The creators who have owned real estate, owned offerings, meaning they have a product or service that they offer, and they're not strictly relying on brand deals to pay the bills. I think are in a good place. Now, brand deals can be huge. Believe me. Nina's going to show you some examples that are like mind boggling to me. I'm like, how did they do like a six-figure brand deal with like 20,000 subscribers or something wild like that? So they can be really, really nice. But I think if you also have your own brand that you're building and you have your own thing that you can always sell, no matter if brands are calling or not, that is where that sustainability piece comes in. That is where like you could really weather, some tough economic situations and you can really be adaptable and you can really truly start to work on your own terms. So I think it's that kind of combo is where magic happens, in my opinion. Okay, let's see. Can you start content creation as a side hustle? Absolutely. I started my YouTube channel in, I think, 2013. I was working at the mall at the time and I was going to school full time. And then I graduated college in 2015. I got a job in Fortune 500 company's marketing department and was also freelancing. So I had like 1.5 jobs and I did YouTube on the side. The thing with this is I think, again, you just have to temper your expectations. If you are doing this as a side hustle, especially if you're doing it as a side hustle to a side hustle like I was doing, I did not expect to quit my day job, the next day. It maybe was possible. Like, of course, there's always a possibility. I'm never going to say don't believe in yourself, but it was more about that slow and steady growth. It's building up those relationships, building up that, authority in the space, building up my own creator muscles, if you will, so that over time I could reach full-time status. And that did happen, but it was slow and steady. Like some people quit their jobs and they're able to post a YouTube video every single day and get better day by day, whereas I was getting better week by week. And that's what I would do is I would make sure that I just set aside time. I love creating YouTube videos, you guys. I truly like it. I love it. I love the whole I don't love filming so much. I love vlogging filming. I don't like again, like I said, sitting down and filming is a little uncomfy for me still, but I love editing. I love the like business side of it. I love like the strategy side of it and researching and coming up with ideas. And so for me, it was a treat. It was honestly like, wow, I worked at this, a little bit more boring. I still loved my day job too, but a little bit more boring corporate job all week. Now on Saturday mornings, I get to film my YouTube video and edit my YouTube video. And like I loved it. So if you don't love it, maybe it's going to be a little more challenging or you should like hire an editor or come up with a system that works for you. But yes, you absolutely can. And the last question is what is the most rewarding part of being a content creator? And I think this is so important to talk about because, there's so many videos out there, how to be a full-time content creator, how to make this amount of money, but like we don't often talk about why we want to do this in the first place, right? I think it is such a fun job. Like I said, I like being challenged. I like being on my toes a little bit. I like being able to wake up and decide what I'm going to do for the most part. Obviously, if I have clients or if I have sponsor obligations, I have to fulfill those. But even within that, I don't have to like clock in from 9 to 5, in most situations, even if it's a client or a sponsor. It's done on like a, hey, next week we need you to have this thing ready. So I can kind of plan out my week and decide which days I'm going to do that deliverable and all of that. And I think that is like the ultimate freedom, right? I don't have to say no to uh family events or friend events or just things that I want to do if I'm not feeling good. Like I have flexibility and control over my schedule. And I think that is like one of the most amazing things. But I think more important than any of that is the impact that you make on the world and on your community. And I sometimes hesitate to talk about this because I feel like it can sound a little like, self aggrandizing, if you will. Listen, I'm just a person. I mean, the world is going to keep spinning whether I'm here or not. But I do know that I've made a significant impact in people's lives because I get those messages. And I've given people the confidence and the encouragement and the proof that they can do it, that they can quit their job, that they can start that YouTube channel, they can become a social media manager, they can, exist in the world and do cool things and have a good life. And that is really cool. We are only given one life. And, like I don't know. There's no way I would be able to reach this amount of people if I just went to my local, downtown and started like busking on the street and talking about stuff. Like there's a limit, right? In terms of geography of how many people you can reach if you limit yourself to in-person work. And so working online is so cool. I think it's so cool that I have friends all over the globe, truly. Like I went to Europe this summer and I had friends who were like, "Do you want to hang out?" And I'm like, "This is amazing. We would have never met if I didn't post content on the internet." And lastly, yeah, there is significant earning potential with content creation. Now, I would like to be honest and say that you know, it doesn't mean that you're gonna become a multimillionaire because you make a YouTube video. I think that is probably the exception, not the rule. But, there is significant earning potential. There is a potential for me, the amount of money that I make in a year, even on a bad year, is minimum 4 or 5 times more than I was making in corporate. Yeah, it's been a few years since I worked in corporate. I probably would have gotten raises, but I probably still would not be making the amount that I make working for myself. And even if I was making the same or less, would you trade that to be able to work from home? To be able to, make an impact with your words and what you have to say and your knowledge and your expertise. To be able to work in your sweatpants or, whatever you like to do. I would personally, even if I was still just making my salary from my last corporate job. So I think there are so many pluses to it. There are definitely drawbacks to it, absolutely. And we can talk about those at some point if you'd like to. But overall, I feel so super grateful for what I do. I feel very creative and it's just so much fun. So let me know if you have any other questions that you'd like me to cover in regards to a content creation career. And be sure to join Nina and my live training. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to talk about getting brand deals, dive deeper into that revenue stream, which can be such a truly life changing type of revenue stream to tap into. So be sure to join us. If you are somebody who works on the brand side too, you're more than welcome. If you're like a social media manager, if you're an agency owner, you work at an agency, and you want to learn more about user generated content and creating sponsorship programs for your, clients or your job, you're welcome to join that call as well. Link down below. And I will talk to you in my next episode. Bye y'all.